Hello and welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Court of Public Opinion. Today we are sorting by the top of all time on the filtered sub, so we have some really juicy stories to go through. Starting us off is this incredible one called "Am I the asshole for not letting my husband go to the funeral of the baby he conceived with his mistress?" More layers than an ogre. Let's get it. Okay. So, am I the asshole for not letting my husband go to the funeral of the baby he conceived with his mistress? I don't even know what to say, so I'll just start reading. This is extremely difficult to talk about with anyone I actually know, and is a secret from a lot of friends and family members. Posting on an alt in the hope that people here can give me an honest answer. Good start. My husband of 10 years had an affair that lasted approximately 6 months. He cut it off when I found out. We went to couples counselling, etc. Turns out the woman was pregnant, though, and intent on keeping the baby. I understood that if she gave birth, my husband would have to do his part in supporting that child, at the very least financially. I already feel sorry for OP. This is like unglaublich crazy. Tragically though, the baby was stillborn. I wasn't looking forward to this baby coming, but I didn't wish for this either. My husband's former mistress has sent details about the funeral. I don't think he should attend. He never got to meet this child and wasn't even there at the hospital when everything happened. If this was a child he knew at all, of course my opinion would be different, but as of now, I don't feel comfortable with him going. He bizarrely said maybe I should go with him. That's a no. I obviously am not going to attend this funeral and make the woman and her whole family uncomfortable. Despite my disdain for her, I'm not going to disrupt her mourning. There are a few people in the family that are aware of the situation. My husband's sister, my mother-in-law, and my mother. His sister thinks he should go to the funeral. My mother says if he goes, I should divorce him. Mother-in-law refuses to comment on the situation at all. So I'm at a loss, really. Am I in the wrong given the circumstances? Given the absolutely insane circumstances of this. There's a very funny sentence where she says, I don't think he should attend. He never got to meet this child and wasn't even there at the hospital when everything happened. What do you mean he never got to meet the child? It was stillborn. No one met the child. Oh my goodness. This is like the worst situation ever for everyone involved. My condolences to everyone even like mentioned in this post from 6 years ago. Holy. I think there's no answer. This is really like... This is on an emotional level that no human should have to face in their lives. So, as a token of my respect to everyone involved in this post, I'm not even going to comment on it. I'm just going to let you, my audience, unpack what you just listened to, because this is on another level. This is on another level. I can't believe it's on another level. I'm not even going to comment on that. That's just, yeah, no one should have to go through that, no matter who you are in that situation. There's like no one is, no, it's over. Okay. Then, next, a more light-hearted one. Am I the asshole for being pissed at my parents for taking us to Athens, Georgia instead of Athens, Greece? Banging am I the asshole post here. Wow. Okay. Let's see if I have any like European hot takes for this one. All right, here we go. I'm 17F, always wanted to go to Greece. I love Greece so much, to the point where I taught myself how to speak Greek. both standard and Cypriot, and I can read ancient Greek. A little bit unhinged, but okay, I appreciate the passion for a European country. I've read the Iliad, Odyssey, and many other of Homer's books in ancient Greek, and I watch TV, sports, movies, and play video games in Greek. And I got online Greek friends who I do it with in Greek. What? I've got Greek friends in Athens, Thessaloniki, and Larnaca that I want to meet. So that's why I was so excited when my parents said they would take us on a family vacation to Athens. This would be the first time I would leave the country and go on a plane. I don't think Greek people do so many Greek activities. This is insane. The dedication of this young girl, I guess she's 17F. Well, she was 17 5 years ago, which is when this was posted. So, how did you end up? Let's see how they ended up in Georgia. And this is Georgia state, I imagine, because there's no Athens in Georgia, the country Georgia. Okay. This happened during an amazing party. But if it was during the only time we could go to Greece, I would do it. My friends understood. I made a plan of everything I wanted to see in Greece: Meteora, Olympiakos Stadium, Acropolis, Plaka, among other things, all over Athens, and if we had time, perhaps Thessaloniki, Sparta, and some other cities. I also made it a priority to go check out universities in Greece, as that's where I want to go. I showed my parents this, and they were like, yeah, sure, you can do that, we don't care. Trip is in February. We fly to Atlanta. I assumed it was a layover. We land and my parents said we need to get to the hotel and need a rental car. Weird, but whatever, wasn't paying attention. Wasn't paying attention? You're like 17 though. At that point you should be suspicious. Not me, literally, I was passenger princess. Like, my parents would drive me to wherever and I wouldn't pay any attention at all, to the point where when I started driving, I didn't even know how to get to my own school, despite me just going there. I guess that's like smartphones have a role to play in that, because when you're just driving with your parents and you're the passenger princess, you're just on your phone, not paying attention to directions. And then when you're like navigating the world as Gen Z, you're just relying on Google Maps. So I have a terrible sense of orientation, and I have to admit to not paying any attention. So I can't really blame this girl for landing in Atlanta, Georgia, which, to be fair, is a busy airport, which is totally reasonable to think you're going for on a layover. Yeah, I mean, when I was 17, my brain was like rewiring itself heavily. Okay, I continue. Well, we drive for an hour or so, and I fall asleep in the car. And then we get to Athens, Georgia, and my parents say, "Hey, wake up, sleepyhead." And I see a sign that says, "Welcome to Athens, Georgia." My sister starts laughing her ass off, and my dad starts giggling. I asked them if this was a joke, and they said no, that we're going to on vacation to Athens, Georgia, to my dad's friend's lake house. I've never been more angry in my entire life, understandably so. We were at a gas station and I argued with my parents. They told me I was a disrespectful brat and that I should be thankful they're taking us on vacation. Hey, Jowser. They said they can't afford to take me to Europe and this is the best thing they could do. I told they're pieces of shit because I missed my friend's birthday party for this boring ass trip in the middle of nowhere in Georgia, and this was like some fucked up joke that everyone knew about but me. Oh, that's so hard. My parents, of course, kept screaming at me saying I'm a disrespectful brat, and I told them to go fuck themselves, and I elbowed the car window in my angry several times, breaking it but cutting myself. Whoa. Okay. Chill, bro. What? I ran on a bus going to Atlanta. Parents are telling me to come back. I told them to fuck off, and I called my friend who used to go to my school but goes to university in Atlanta. He picked me up and I've been at his place with his girlfriend since school got cancelled in Missouri not soon after. My parents went from being furious to being worried and are begging me to come back. I told them to fuck off. So while running away from my parents, I turned to Reddit because now I regret everything. Oh my god. This is nuts. So this girl, who is like the biggest fan of Greece, thought that her family was taking her to Athens, Greece. But and they were in on it, so they didn't tell her at any point that they weren't going to Athens, Greece. She was telling her of all the plans, and her parents then go, yeah, sure, you can do that, we don't care, as she's telling them to go to Olympiakos and Thessaloniki and Sparta and Meteora. And like, yeah, sure, we don't care. And they fully know that they're going to Athens in Georgia State, USA. Oh my god. So obviously these parents kind of failed here. Yeah, these parents failed at this point, but the reaction was a massive overreaction. You broke the car window. You're 17. You're not an animal. So you have every right to like scream at your parents who suck. But don't break the car window, Jesus. So I'm gonna say the parents suck more, but everyone sucks here. That's what I'm gonna say. I deem you not guilty. Everyone sucks in this situation, which is like an insane situation. I can't believe. I bet the dad was real proud. Wow, my friend happens to have a lake house in a place called Athens, and my daughter is like mad about Athens, Greece. And he's just thinking to himself, I could play the greatest prank in my life. I'm gonna read the first comment. You know what? Not the asshole. Yes, I know, ungrateful. Love of Greece is a phase. Overreacting like a teenage girl. Blah, blah, teenager stuff. But there's something especially cruel about watching someone get super excited about something and then Toyotaing them. Jesus. Oh, man. Incredible stuff. Great dad joke. It's not a great dad joke. It's terrible. Like, come on. It's your daughter. Dad jokes are good. This prank is like when your daughter, when you know your daughter, okay, and when you realize she's so like unhealthily obsessed with Greece, you can't play this prank on her. It's too much. So yeah, moving on. Going for the next one. Let's see. Am I the asshole refusing to use the word pregnant when I tell people my wife is going to have a baby or talk about her time carrying the baby? I feel like this one's not as saucy. But it's in the top of all time, so I'll go for it. Let's see. Am I the asshole refusing to use the word pregnant when I tell people my wife is going to have a baby or talk about her time carrying the baby? I know this is a weird hang-up, but I was raised by my grandparents and they never used the word pregnant. This is already unhinged. I was raised by my grandparents. The red flag is raised. And they never used the word pregnant. What? This isn't even Mormon. This is like anti-natural grandparents. Because to them it was almost like a dirty word. Bruh, what? Like, are your parents like monks from a religion that hates humanity? What? Okay, I continue. It was basically seen as vulgar, using the word pregnant, that is. That is unhinged. Everything was always, she's going to have a baby or she's expecting. So over time, I developed an aversion to saying pregnant or pregnancy. I am the same way with other words, but those are not at issue here. Or all the red flags are going up. I guess my wife never noticed or didn't think much of it until we found out we were going to have a baby. One day she asked me about it and I explained the same thing I wrote above about how it wasn't something I grew up saying. Okay. So he has a wife, he got married despite not being able to say pregnant. It seemed to bother her a lot more than I would have thought, and it's created a bigger disagreement than I would have ever expected. Because of my explanation, she says that by me not using those words, it makes her think that I feel what she is doing is dirty or something shameful and to be hidden. She thinks I secretly judge her. Weird take. Bruh, it's not a weird take. I obviously don't feel this way, and my hang-up has nothing to do with her or the baby. It's purely about comfort and certain language not being part of my vocabulary. I really think she's making too much of this, and perhaps it is being used by her as projection for her own insecurities. And boom, the bomb has been dropped. As soon as you are talking about your pregnant wife's insecurities, like, stick that shovel in the graveyard and dive in head first. Rest in peace, my man. You did not use your words correctly. I'll read the last sentence. I don't think my language choices in this case make me the asshole. She disagrees and wants me to start using the right terms to describe what is happening. Bruh. He had us in the first half, not gonna lie. No. Like, this person has a problem with language. He has not understood the power of language and how it can basically end your career. So this person is like terrible, bro. He actually says, I really think she's making too much of this, and perhaps it is being used by her as projection for her own insecurities on the internet about his pregnant wife. Dude, if I was this man's pregnant wife and I read that he posted this on Reddit, he is a dead man. He is a dead man. Dead. Rest in peace. I hope he's resting in peace, because this man is no longer with us. I guarantee you. I'm going to read the first comment just for a little bit of flavor. You're the asshole. Okay, so you're grown up enough to get married, do the deed, impregnate your wife, but not be able to say the word pregnant. She's literally pregnant. I would feel uncomfortable if the person who impregnated me was skirting around the word pregnant all the time. Grow up. I just skirted around the word sex. Did you see how I did that? Oh man, it's nuts. It's the word pregnant. Like, of all the words, it's like pregnant is like, in Spain we have this thing called bollo preñado. We literally call our food pregnant. Society around this man needs to advance. He was raised by grandparents. I love listen, grandparents are great, but this person's grandparents are not settled into society. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's nuts. Oh my god. Am I the arsehole for saying, okay, so what? When my wife told me she's bisexual. This is so tempting. Okay, this is incredible. It's removed! Oh, it was too good. It was too good for the internet. What a shame. Am I the asshole for saying, okay, so what, when my wife told me she's bisexual? That could go either way. Because that could be like, that could be seen as like, okay, why is it a big deal? You know, it's your wife. You love each other. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I don't know. I would have loved to read that. All right, we'll scroll down to the next one. Am I the asshole for declining to walk my daughter down the aisle at her wedding? Ooh. I am at the age right now where I get invited to a lot of weddings, and I'm going to a lot of weddings, or at least as many as I can muster. So this is a hot topic for me at age 27. Let's see. Am I the asshole for declining to walk my daughter down the aisle at her wedding? About 8 years ago, I got a message on Facebook from a teenager asking if I knew her mother back in college because she might be my kid. Whoa, let me read that again. That hit me really hard from the get-go. Like, come on, give a bit more context. Ease the reader into your story, at least by saying, you know, 21M or 43F or something. Not just starting us like that. Let me digest this again. About 8 years ago, I got a message on Facebook from a teenager asking if I knew her mother back in college because she might be my kid. Okay, like top 10 fears relating to the internet. Now, After I got over the shock, I messaged her back. We talked a little bit. I paid for a DNA test. Turns out I have a daughter. We'll call her Jenny. Oh my god, what the hell? This is nightmare fuel. Imagine. Oh, and it's not the guy asking you to redeem your coupon or not to redeem the coupon. It's literally, actually your daughter. We'll call her Jenny. We talked for a little bit. I got to know her stepdad, Jim, and her mum, Tina. ONS, I didn't even know her last name 25 years ago. Holy. And her younger half siblings, and they're all pretty cool. In particular, cannot praise Jim enough. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Basically a human teddy bear, this guy. This sounds British. Overall, I'd say Jenny and I have a decent enough relationship. I never married and I don't have any other children, so I've been taking her on vacations with me. She spent a few holidays at my house, but overall our relationship is much more like that of two adults rather than a parent and a child. She doesn't call me dad, she calls Jim dad and me Matt. Okay, makes sense. I contributed to her college fund, but not as much as Jim and Tina did. And that wasn't as big a deal for me because I make a lot more money than they do and have no other kids. Literally any situation that's even slightly on the ropes, sprinkle a little bit of the old money problems and it blows up in a massive way. Let's see what happened. Last week she called me to tell me that her long-term boyfriend proposed and asked me to walk her down the aisle. Ooh. I told her that I was honoured, but that I didn't think it was fair for me to take that moment from Jim, who raised her since she was a toddler just because we share DNA. I like this guy. She said that she actually wants both of us to walk her down the aisle, one on either side. Okay. I told her that I didn't think it was fair to ask him to share that moment either, and that even if Jim said he was okay with it, and I'm sure he would because Jim wouldn't deny Jenny anything, no matter how much it hurt his feelings, it probably broke his heart for her to ask that. Oh. And she said okay and hung up, but she hasn't been as happy to talk to me since. Am I the asshole for saying no, or do I just need to give her some time to adjust? Wow. It's tough because I think they should all three of them meet and talk about it and kind of like sort it out, because it's a tricky situation, right? I don't know how much longer, I don't know if I missed it, but how much longer OP has been back in his daughter's life, his Facebook daughter's life. But this, I don't think this person is the asshole. I think he's very reasonable. Yes, you deny your biological daughter, but at the same time, like if you understand Jim and you've met Jim and you know how Jim is likely to feel, then I understand. Give me a second, I'm gonna cough. So yeah, I fully understand this man. He's a good man. So let's see. He's added some extra edits to the post. Edit, thanks for all the advice. Last night I called Jenny, apologized for hurting her feelings, and asked her to meet Jim and me for Sunday brunch so that we could talk about and work out how to do this all together. So we'll hopefully come to an amicable solution that makes everyone happy. This is wholesome as hell. I didn't think that we were going to have wholesome, happy endings in these posts. Edit 2, post brunch update. My favorite kind of update. Sorry this took so long. Brunch ran late. My favorite kind of brunch. I kind of turned into lunch and then into the waitress giving us mean looks for hugging a table for so long, but the talk was productive and I tipped well, so I call this a win. Hell yeah. Men having brunch is just great. Can we stop making fun of men who have brunch? Thank you. So we all met at the restaurant. Jenny, Jim, Jenny's fiance, who by coincidence has the same name as me, so we'll call him Other Matt, and me. We beat around the bush for about 20 minutes while we ordered and waited for our food, and then we got down to it. And after a lot of discussion and reassurance that we all love each other very much, except Other Matt, who barely knows me, but seems alright, we came to a decision. Damn, Other Matt taking strays. I will walk Jenny into the church and pass her off to Jim, who will walk her down the aisle while I get to my seat. Thanks again to everyone for the advice. I'm really looking forward to the wedding. What a beautiful, wholesome ending to the story. That's just heartwarming. Not the arsehole, but whoa, wait. Oh, we have some extra context from the first comment, or some extra spice. The first commenter says, not the arsehole, but I think you're looking at this the wrong way. This is your daughter's wedding, not Jim's. As much as we love Jim and he's an angel. So isn't what she wants for the day the important thing? She considers you her family and she wants you to be part of that moment. That's a great honor, and she probably felt extremely rejected when you said no. You have known her for almost a decade. She sees you as another father figure. You're not some rando swooping in to steal Jim's glory just because you're the bio dad. He may even be just as happy to have you on the other arm, because if he loves Jenny, then having more people in her life who care about her can only be a positive thing. Listen, okay. Weddings. Is Steffo Jim's daughter more than the OP? I also agree. There's like a timeline gap. We don't know how long it's been since OP came into Tina's life. So we don't know how important, because if it's like, oh, last year, wait, maybe about 8 years ago. 8 years! Okay, we do have a timeline. 8 years ago, they received the message and they got back together. No, they basically, OP came into his daughter's life 8 years ago through Facebook message. And yeah, 8 years, a lot can happen in 8 years. And if you're like your biological dad, I don't know the power of genetics and how it can like bring you close to someone. I really don't know. Yeah, man didn't even know he had a daughter. How can you have a kid and not be aware of it? You gotta be fucked up, not gonna lie. Listen, he just had unprotected sex with someone in college, and this person, like, I guess never told him, which is crazy. I think we haven't heard enough about the mum. I think the mum not searching for this guy. Somehow, this person's daughter found them, but not the mum. The mum never reached out. And OP says, I didn't even know her last name 25 years ago. So, yeah. I mean, I understand, like, flings and hookups at university. But when they lead to children, it's like... I'm not saying you should ask for everyone's legal documentation before you hook up with them. But if you're like not setting up the right precautions and protections, then you can't just be like, forget about this person forever. Like, nah. So there's something wrong here. There's something wrong. It's not enough to point a finger and name the arsehole. But there's something awry for sure. Also, let me get back to the point. Pam, just don't have unprotected sex with people you don't know. As simple as that. It is as simple as that. It is. You're right. So the other point that I wanted to make was that so weddings. Everyone at a wedding is like, oh, whatever the bride says. I think not enough people are thinking about the guests. the wedding planners, it's like the bride wants this, the bride wants that, and of course, like the groom will be like, yes, whatever the bride says, yes, we'll go, it's her special day. Nah, buddy, it's an event that involves lots of people that are present there. You know, you can't just like, just because the bride wants to have this whatever like wedding in the middle of Venice doesn't mean you should rent out the whole city and stop its citizens from walking through it just because the bride wants to. You get my reference? Yes. I think you have to think about your guests and whether they're comfortable and having a good time. I think that's left aside too much in weddings these days. But hey, what do I know? I'm only going to like 3 weddings a year. Good post. There's no one's guilty in this situation. But very interesting. Very interesting. How are we doing for time? One last one. if it's like a short one, am I the asshole for telling my wife's friend she's too old and ugly after she repeatedly asked my 19-year-old son to take off his shirt? He was getting uncomfortable. What in the hell? Please be short, please be short. Oh, they wrote like a whole essay. Oh, okay, we'll go for it. Am I the asshole for telling my wife's friend she is too old and ugly after she repeatedly asked my 19-year-old son to take off his shirt? He was getting uncomfortable. Okay. My family had a small get-together at my house. One of my wife's friends was over. She's unmarried, I think. She's 45, 47. Thank you for providing ages. Auntie belongs to the street. We aren't too close to her since she lives pretty far away. She was over our house and she started complimenting my son. My son is 19. Red flag. It starts off innocent, but as time goes on, it gets more and more crossing the line. Red flag, red flag, red flag. When we were out on my deck, she starts telling my son to take his shirt off. What's the point of going to the gym if no one will see it? Red flag, red flag, red flag. My son is visibly uncomfortable and tries to shut her down. She repeatedly is asking and is getting more aggressive with it. Oh. I interject and I am like, hey Kathy, I think you're a bit too old and ugly for my son. Big man OP coming in with the assist. And by assist, I mean like getting the cougar away from the hunting ground. Jesus, this woman is insane. This woman is unhinged. Good on OP, good on OP. Another wholesome story. I keep reading. This got her upset really quickly, and she excuses herself to the bathroom and starts crying. Sorry. My wife goes to comfort her, and then later she leaves. At the end of it, my wife is super angry with me for saying that I should have said, hey Kathy, looks like you had too much to drink or something else. I don't know what's worse, to be honest. I told my wife, and Kathy, by the way, this is not her real name, thanks, works a corporate job. She has had training on this and that she knows better. And our son was uncomfortable. He is 18 plus, but doesn't know how to deal with an adult, let alone someone saying that in our house. Hold on a second. Can we unpack this? This OP says here. So I should. He says, I told my wife that Kathy works a corporate job. She has had training on this and that she knows better. Hold on a minute. What corporate job gives training about not being a predator? Bro, what? So this woman has like a history. So, and work knows and works. Her job, instead of firing her, has given her specific training on this meaning not hitting, at the very least, not hitting on 19-year-olds. So, bro, what? Maybe a teacher? Wait, this is blowing my mind. Do teachers get training? Do teachers have to get trained to not hit on kids? This is nuts. This is crazy. That's like, you know, being a policeman and being trained to not kill defenseless people that are under arrest. Oh, wait, I guess it's necessary because humans are shit. Wow. Let me continue reading. I told my wife flat out that if I was to invite a guy friend and he was to ask to see our daughter in a bikini, my wife would have called the police. So true. She says it's different. No way. I tell her that I was way kinder to Kathy than I would have been had a guy said something like that to our daughter. And I told my wife that Kathy needs to apologize to my son before she can ever come into our house again. She's not coming into your house again, bro. She needs to go to therapy. Overall, I think I was fair. If Kathy just said it once and I said that, I think I would be the asshole. But the fact that she kept repeating it is why I said it. And I wanted her to get the message that, yes, I'm upset. That's why I included the ugly part. Yeah, I think this person is perfectly reasonable and sometimes insulting someone so they realize the error of their ways. In this case, her ways being like predatorial. is good, and they should be insulted more. Jesus, this is crazy. I'm gonna read the first comment, but this is like a clear-cut case of OP not guilty and has like some very dangerous family members from his wife's side. Not the asshole. Double standard no more. I wouldn't let her around my boy anymore. Yeah, I would be livid if a husband's friend was telling my daughter the same type of things. Absolutely. This is a clear cut as it comes. Incredible story. Crazy post. Yes, well done. Well done, OP. Should have insulted her even more, to be honest, and maybe even called the police. This is crazy. Okay, maybe calling the police might have been the step too far. It wouldn't have made him an asshole though. But yeah, like when you see your kid uncomfortably like reacting to this situation, I think like the alarm just goes off in your head, and it's and it's like, protect your kid. Holy moly. So yeah, that will conclude episode 3 of the Court of Public Opinion. I can't believe this stuff. These posts were from 5-6 years ago. I hope society has healed since then. Once we sort by like Hot of the Month, I guess we'll see just how far society has come. I have such high hopes for it. So yeah, take care, be careful out there, and see you in the next episode.